do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Oh, do we have so much to talk about today?
So you know those times where I'm on a rant? It's not me on the rant today. I'm just warning you folks. It is not me on the rant today.
I'm on the rant. And yes, I do take mine off for that.
Whoa. No, I want to get back to the consensual sex question.
So I read.
Because at my age, when they say sex, I'm like, yes, please.
Well, I read that Texas just put into play for a law that it's illegal for two consensual adults to have sex. They will be arrested and will serve up to 15 years in jail. So rape then is legal, but having sex with somebody who really wants to have sex with you is illegal.
It was probably a woman who came up with that idea. You know that.
Well, it was your governor. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know. That one just I was like, what? That can't be right. Let me read this again. And then I read it again. That can't be right. Let me read this again. And then I read it again. It was, I couldn't believe what I was reading.
No. You got to understand too, though. You know, I mean, you're looking at a law that's written in Texas from outside of Texas. Because I've looked at laws that were written in California and I thought they were stupid. But then I go there and the people who voted for the law explained it in a way that I'd never heard it. Because, again, what's the news telling you? All right. And then you go read it based on some sort of what do you call it? Like mindset you have. And I know you and I are kind of different. I'm more, we're both independents, but I'm more right leaning and you're more left leaning. All right. And it all depends on the mindset, how we were raised. And then we read it. And you and I could read the same sentence and it mean two different things.
And just like if you go watch a movie, you could go watch a movie. You both walk out of the movie and you say, wait a minute, was I in the same movie? I don't remember that. People pick up different things and they hear things based on our own perceptions and our own bias or whatever the case may be. And I agree with you. There were a ton of stupid things that were done in California. I totally agree with you. Still being done in California.
No. I lived in Massachusetts in the 1980s. 1987 to 1990, I lived in Massachusetts, and then I lived 6 months in New Hampshire before I moved back to Pennsylvania. And I'm going to tell you, the line between Massachusetts and New Hampshire, all right, is like the line between Russia and America.
Really?
Right?
That different?
Massachusetts. This is the 1980s.
That's different?
It was a very, I hate to say it, very socialistic mindset of a state. Very.
So which one was what?
The Massachusetts, very socialistic. Or New Hampshire is like what was in the 1980s, one of the most freest states on the eastern side. Like their motto was "Live free or die," right? Like there was like this whole idea of freedom, right? In Massachusetts, it's like you're so restricted on things. But I moved back to Pennsylvania because that's where I grew up, and I grew up again on the very much independent, very much free type stuff. And I moved back to a state that was partially socialistic. And I'm like, the smartest thing I ever did was when I left Pennsylvania and I moved to Texas. And I was moving to California at the time. I stopped in Texas and I'm like, whoa. I like it here. I'm staying here. Right. But I never once, when I got to Texas, went, we should make this more like Pennsylvania. I mean, and this is the problem we have. All right. You recently left California and moved to New York.
I agree with you.
All right.
I agree with you. We take our mindsets, and I know there's a lot of states out there that don't want California there because they feel they're Californiizing their area. And I understand that. And I'm not, and trust me, I moved away from California, but I'm certainly not trying to Californiize where I'm at. I lived here and moved here for a reason, because it's not California. I don't want to bring California with me. I accept this area for what it is. That's why we're here.
But we seem to have a world, all right, with social media, all right, and the presence of us going out there to do things and see things nowadays, that we feel that we have to comment on something.
Or change something. Or say, my idea is better than your idea, and I'm going to shove it down your throat until you believe it.
Until you accept it. Now, think about this. with the truckers, when you and I really didn't go into much on the truckers stuff that went on both first in Canada and now in America. But like everybody in America was all up in arms against stuff going on in Canada. I was like, I'm not going to comment on Canada. Why? I don't live there. I can't tell you your politics are wrong. I don't freaking live in your damn country.
No.
All right. Like here in the United States, we have 50 different states. And if you don't like the state you live in, you move to a state that you do like.
Yep.
As opposed to, I want to change the laws to be more like Massachusetts. Well, if you like Massachusetts, move there. You know, that's like, you know what I mean? Here's the common sense of it. I really hate snow. All right. So I moved to the South. But there's people who want to move from Minnesota to Texas and go, you know, I miss the snow. We should have snow imported to Texas.
Although you have had some snow lately.
We have. But think about that concept, right?
Yeah.
That's climate, all right? I live in a different climate because I like the way the climate is. You wouldn't say when you move to Minnesota, boy, you know, I wish we had 150-degree summers. I really do, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's when you move to, well, there were some people that were moving to states based on their political
belief. Yeah.
But I would never do that because, as we know, the political makeup can change.
Yeah.
So when you move someplace thinking, oh, okay, it's mostly Republican or Democrat, that's why I'm moving there. And then all of a sudden it changes. So now do you have to move because it's changed? I mean,
there's two things I moved to Texas for. Number one was I could take my gun out and defend my property.
Without being questioned.
Without being questioned, because it's my property.
Yes.
That was number one. Number two
persecuted.
is I came from a county in Pennsylvania where judges basically controlled, and they didn't care about what the law said. They wrote the law the way they wanted it. Yeah. And if you didn't agree with it, all right, they'd send their mobster friends over to you. Right. All right. And I'm not going to go into it here, but like when I came to Texas, they're like, doesn't matter what that law is in Pennsylvania. When you're a Texas resident, here's how you have to abide by it now.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, I was able to take away the unfairness that was put on me in the Pennsylvania courtroom, and I was able to counteract it by becoming a Texas resident. All right. And they could not come back and haunt me because I became a Texas resident. They could not come back and take me back there.
Yeah.
All right. That is one of the reasons why I moved to Texas. All right. I love it. All right. I love you know what I mean? I love different freedoms and stuff that I have. Not because it's Republican or Democrat. There is benefits to it. And I will say this, that Texas is one of the growingest business.
They are good to business. I will give them
years
that
in a row.
They are good to business.
Yeah.
They know how to treat business. I will give them that much.
Yep. All right. I mean, and
their laws, just like California, is a little bit, some of their laws, not all of them, but I mean, I read this about consensual sex and I'm thinking, what? Wait a minute. What the brakes on
there's probably a catch in there. All right.
There has to be.
There's an and where there's supposed to be a period.
There has to be.
And you're misreading it, I'm sure.
I don't know, but I kept reading. I read one article, then I read another article, then I read another article, and they all said the same thing. And
you read, whoa. You read articles.
No. And I saw it on the news, and I looked all over places.
Where did you see it? Come on, you just proved my point. I read articles and I seen it on the news.
Legal sources, and on the legal sources, it even stated it. So that's what I was like.
Did you read the actual law?
Okay.
Did you read the actual law?
No, they surmised it. So I will have to go back and read the actual law. But still, the fact that they are even put. It made no sense. And that's why this topic that we're going to talk about today makes no sense.
I'm going to keep coming back to this because you read the sermon. All right. I didn't. It's like this morning I watched a video on Kid Rock, and it was like, come watch this video to see what Kid Rock said. And I go to the video, and it's nothing but a guy commentating on what he's seen Kid Rock say on another show. I'm like,
Yeah, it's not even
this
Kid
is how
Rock.
we get our news, and when we're confused.
But I did go on legal sources and I did look. They surmised it. They summarized it.
No. Don't go to surmise it. Go to the actual law and read the
All right,
actual
I will
law.
do that. And next time I will come on and we'll read it verbatim. Verbatim.
Does it tell you how sex works? Because in today's days, I mean, think about it.
You never know. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, 50 years ago, your operator's manual of a car taught you how to adjust the valves. Now they say don't drink the contents of the battery.
Yep. I don't know.
They have to have a law telling people how sex works.
I have no idea. I don't know. All I know is I was like, what?
Well, you guys had one kid, right? So obviously you had an idea of how sex works at least one time.
Obviously. And how many kids do you have? One.
Well, that's there's still legal proceedings trying to figure that out.
Well, there you go. See, so obviously we're on the same page. We've done it once. We know what to do.
I can either confirm or deny how many we have. All right, I have. Yeah. Hey, but God. I kept trying.
Hilarious. So, getting back to our topic.
Yes, we do have a topic. Believe it or not, this show is just meant for us to argue with each other and not have a topic.
So today's topic I thought was very fitting because, as you know, we're going through the confirmation hearings of, and I hope I don't mutilate her name, Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Is she a girl or a guy?
Pardon?
Is she a girl or a guy?
She's a woman.
Does she claim to be a woman and identify as one? You have to ask this nowadays.
Yes, she does. She does. But what astounds me, not just with this confirmation hearing, but with a lot of the confirmation hearings when it comes to trying to come up with a Supreme Court justice, it seems to me that a lot of the questions that are asked have nothing to do with the job at hand.
I agree. I agree. I'm sorry. I agree.
For example, Ted Cruz, and this is all over the place, and I saw it. Ted Cruz asked the question if she feels babies are born prejudiced.
They are.
How does that have to do with her job?
They are. They're born prejudiced. You know that?
How does that have to do with her job? And I have to say that the way she handled everything, I mean, she just looked at him like, like, how the hell am I supposed to answer that question? She said, to be, you know, can we get back to the question for why I'm here instead of what this is?
No, all right, but in defense, all right, of the actual way things have been going in DC, all right, in defense of the way they do it, all right, we have had, Republicans, you know what I mean, outcast.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And we've had Democrats outcast. Right? And rather than sit and fix the problems we have in our country, the Democrats are going, well, you Republicans are racist. And the Republicans are going, well, you Democrats are crazy and you don't like oil. All right. It's like, yeah, they're just like, they're so the only way to his fault. Yeah. Let me prove I'm right by asking you a stupid question. Truthfully, that is the game, it seems, up there anymore.
And that's the problem. That's the problem, is it's a game. To them, it's a game. We're all living this within this game. We're all affected by how they make their decisions.
People have not lived in the real world in too long.
It kills me. Yeah. It's just like, let's clean it all the slate, get rid of them all, vote them all out of office, and just start brand new.
Well, you remember, let's go back to 2016, all right? When Trump brought in quite a few different people that was like, let's face it, Trump was like the weird, shall we say, the weird standout.
He definitely wasn't political.
No, I'm trying to put this in the right terms to get people to understand. Trump was on the Republican side. He was that standout, different, I'm going to change things, kind of like Clinton was when Clinton came in for the Democrats. And all right. And that's the way he was. So he was bringing in people that weren't politicians to run these things. And I
True.
remember the Betsy DeVos. Now I know the DeVosses, Betsy and her husband, and I mean I've known them back through the 90s. I knew them when they got married, right? And the questions being asked to Betsy DeVos, I'm like, what's that? I was going at the time going, and what the fuck does that have to do with education?
Yep.
All right. So I mean, it's not one side or the other, but all right. What gets it is when we have a like or dislike for a person. So if you disliked Betsy DeVos, you were like, yeah. In your case, you don't like Ted Cruz. But let me tell you, for instance, okay, our choices were Ted Cruz or Beto O'Rourke when he ran last time. All right. And let me tell you, you don't want Beto O'Rourke's questions. Because Beto O'Rourke is going around
out there. I'm just saying, there's a few. There's not a lot of good choices out there, and that's the sad part.
Yeah. Beto O'Rourke was going around telling everybody, yeah, in Texas, they're willing to hand me their guns. I'm like, dude, I don't know what part of Texas you are in, but nobody I know in Texas is giving up
their guns.
I mean, he was telling people that. And now he's running for governor of Texas. Anyway, yeah.
I don't understand it. I mean, it doesn't matter what type of committee is there, who's on the committee, what's going on. There's always at least one or two of them that ask a question that has absolutely nothing to do with the topic at hand.
You know why? You know why? Let's go back.
Well, I know they're trying to
go back to where you heard, all right, about the sex problem in Texas. Where did you hear about it again? From the
they want
media.
To be on the news. They want to be sensationalized. They want their 15 minutes of fame.
If Ted Cruz doesn't ask the stupid question, he doesn't make the nightly news.
I know.
He's got to keep his face in the nightly news because let's face it, it's so handsome of a face.
I know. And with that beard, my God, he looks like a homeless guy. Get rid of the freaking beard. And he's not the only one. There are other people out there that ask stupid questions too. It's just his question.
It could be worse. We could have AOC asking questions like, so how does this work as a business? I mean, come on. I mean, we've got bartenders trying to tell you how to run your business. All right. And then we've got weirdo politicians trying to tell you how to be racist. What's the other ones we have? Alcoholics trying to tell you how to be a good human being.
Personally, I think a lot of us, to a certain degree, not all of us, but some of us have kind of lost our own way in regards to. We all have opinions, and like we said at the beginning, we all have opinions.
And they're like, they're like assholes. Everybody has one.
I know everyone has one.
Some of us have two. Some people have two. They're called congressmen.
We all have opinions. But there's a point when you're having a conversation with somebody and you're asking questions and so forth. When you're asking questions, you're trying to get information. You're trying to, that's what a question's about, right? You want to get more information. You want to find out more about the topic. You want to find out more about the person. Whatever the case may be, you want to find out more information. So, and I know in class, there were times when teachers always said, there's no stupid question. Well, I beg to differ.
Obviously, they've never spent time in Congress.
I beg to differ on that because there are some questions that have nothing to do with the topic at hand, and that's just a stupid question. That's all I'm saying.
But no, I want to take this at a different angle. All right, and again, I don't totally disagree with you, but I want you to think about a different angle. When I analyze things, I like to ask questions that give me an idea into your mindset, not on the direct things. For instance, this past week I was at an investors group, all right, and I'm talking to like lead investors of people who I want, like they're willing to lead a project and I'm willing to put my money in behind the project, right? I asked a question that was related to something we talk about in this field quite a lot around the game Monopoly. And that told me a lot about their thinking without telling me their thinking, because it was a question they weren't expecting and they didn't have an answer ready to go. You think about, and I remember early days of me doing podcasting, they used to say, hand the host your 10 questions. So I knew the questions you were going to ask, so I knew how to give the answer. In this case here, I'm asking a question that they didn't expect. So I'm catching them off guard to get a real answer.
And I think that's the way it should
that
be.
could be a thing that they're doing is they're trying to catch them off guard with stupid questions to get them to throw a stupid answer out, or to get them to go. Maybe the idea behind it is to get them to go, Mr. Cruz, how do I answer that? Because now Mr. Cruz goes, okay, this person is thinking and can think on their feet.
Because he did move along when she said, I'm not quite sure that has to pertain to why I'm here.
But that could be.
And I can't make that decision with anybody who comes in front of me to decide because I'm not a pediatrician. And she answered it very eloquently. She really did. And he moved on.
But maybe that's why he asked the question that way, was to get her to answer that way. Maybe that's the answer he wanted. We don't know.
Possibly. But here's the thing though, too, is when you're being seen in a big stage like that, and you've got reporters from every freaking channel down to the little itty bittiest channel of possible regarding newsworthy, you got Twitter, everybody's there to see that.
Every news media was there except for the people from the Business G-Spot. Our reporter could not make it that day.
No. It kind of makes you wonder if they're asking the question to throw them off and get an answer, or are they asking that question to make themselves look differently in the eyes of the public so that down the line, when they so decide to run for president or whatever, now people will look at them differently.
But I mean, not to be the devil's advocate, but maybe they were doing it to get the answer exactly the way they got it.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. It's a good point.
Ask a dumb question, get a smart answer.
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe. I don't know.
He did get a smart answer. And he did move on. He didn't keep pushing it.
No, he didn't. Maybe that's why, because he got the answer he's wanted. Because I've seen, do you remember some of the confirmation hearings I've seen that I've watched, and they ask a question and he like retwists the question and asks it 4 times. And, it's because the person refuses to give an answer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe it's something along the lines that I don't know. And I don't. All right. But, for you and I sit there, we're on the outside.
Yeah, of course. We don't know the back end stuff. We don't know the story. We're not there.
Yeah. We're not in the bedroom when the two people said, yes, I agree to have sex with you. So we don't know whether it's consensual or not.
Don't touch me. There's a law against it right now. I can't have sex. There's a law in Texas that says I can't.
By the way, do you and your husband have a top 5 that you're allowed, celebrity?
Oh yeah.
You do? Who's your number 3?
Oh my gosh.
Obviously it's not that big of a desire for you.
It's George Clooney.
George Clooney? Oh, okay. See, I play the smart game everywhere I go, and I always, hey Tim, can we get you anything else? And Jennifer Lopez's home phone number would be great.
I know Ben Affleck and I are like this. I've got her number. Guess what? She doesn't ask. We just do.
No. When we go back to stupid questions and stupid answers, I say that as a joke. Everywhere I go, it's a laugh. It's a funny. Because of that, the Sheraton where you and I kind of met in Los Angeles for the first time, that Sheraton, Starbucks at that Sheraton, the very first time I ever came there 10 plus years ago, I answered the question. There is a guy that worked there last time we were there like 2 years ago, who when I walked in, he goes, Tim, you're here. I mean, he still remembers me, right? That was part of the objective. I'm trying to make you laugh, right? But I went into, this would have been 2009 or 10. I was in Hollywood and Vine area in Los Angeles. I was in the Starbucks there.
Oh, what a lovely area.
I know. And the lady said to me, asked me a question, and she said, can I get you anything else? I said, Jennifer Lopez's home phone number would be great. And she said, this is her words, verbatim. She was in here yesterday, and I don't think she'd like it if I gave you that information. With the straightest face. So, like, when we look at this, what you said is maybe you and I are looking at, like I said, not to be the devil advocate, maybe you and I are looking out of it out of context as to what his real objective was. My objective when I go into that Starbucks that day was to make that lady laugh. She did, and I remember saying after she gave me that mean comment, I'm like, in Texas, we call this a joke. Because some people just don't take what we say for the intended purposes of what we said it for. Do I make sense on that? Yeah.
That can go back into social media too, because when you're sending an email or you're sending a text or sending social media, they don't hit the tone in your voice. So you have to put that tone on paper, or
that's why we have
joke,
things like,
whatever, because some people are going to say, I didn't find that very funny. What were you trying to say? It was a joke. Well, you should have said so. So I see both sides.
I get it, because we don't all have the same sense of humor, but we also don't have the same view of everything.
I agree. And I am biased because I don't like Ted Cruz. So I am biased, and I will admit it. I am, because I'm not a big fan of him. And when he opened his mouth, I just thought to myself, here we go again. Another stupid question.
Well, let me twist this a little bit. I know we didn't plan this in a discussion because it's an area you and I know of. All right. Yeah. If Ted Cruz reached out to you and said, "Hey, Katrina, I'd like to be on you and Tim's podcast," what would you say?
Oh my God.
This is our podcast. We can say what we want. Seriously. No. What would you say?
Oh my gosh. That's a good question. Because on one side of me would say yes, because I want to just see what an idiot he'd make himself, or prove my theory right. Or two, I could say, no, I don't think so, because we have a nice thing going, and I don't want to screw it up because of something you would say and the attachment you would have and the people and blah, blah, blah. So I would be grappling between those two.
Now, the reason I asked that, you and I both know in our world, all right, in seminars, is Bill Walsh. I do not like Bill Walsh. However,
there's a lot of people that I know that don't.
Yeah, I, because of the fact that I work the backside of a lot of events, have to deal with Bill when he comes to the event. I can't take my personal feelings for Bill and bring them out
of it. Yeah,
because I have to be professional for the event and the planner who's running it. Right.
Of course.
This past event in February, I had a conversation with Bill, and I said, Bill, I just want to be honest with you. I said, I'm not a fan, but to let you know that, like, I would interview you and make you look good on my podcast anytime you want. And Bill said, I'm in. I'll do it with you anytime. He said, I agree. And he said, I respect. And I said, because I said to him, I don't agree with you, but I respect you as a business person because you have built a following of people who agree with you.
Yep.
And that is the same thing with our congressmen or our senators, is they have built a following of people who like them. I think Nancy Pelosi's a wacko, all right? But, there are people in the San Francisco area who like her. They elect her. They're fans, all right?
That's very true. I mean, they got there. All right? They got there because they got the vote.
That's right. They got the vote because they built a fan base. Yeah,
exactly. And I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you on that. I just think that when we're having these hearings, when you're going through these hearings, that the questions that are being asked, at least in my mindset and what I'm seeing from the outside, don't make sense as to what I would per se ask a judge and put. I mean, and that kind of goes into business and so forth, and what you're asking questions for when you're trying to find a consultant, a contractor, a coach, whatever. Are you asking them the right questions? Are you doing your homework? And that's what we're talking about. Did I do my homework regarding that law? I did a little bit. I got the summarizing, but I didn't really read the whole thing. But still, that's kind of what we do, I think, in general, is we summarize things.
Yeah.
And when we summarize things, a lot of times things can be left out. And they could be very important pieces. Like you said, if there's an and there or a comma or this, it's this or this. And we left that or out. So it's a matter of how we're reading into things. But I mean, just like with business, are we asking the right questions?
Yeah, I know. Let's just transition into that, because you talk about that. Are we asking the right questions? Are we asking? Wait a minute. Are we asking in a way that makes sense to us or makes sense to the people who are hearing it?
Exactly. And are we doing our homework? That's the key thing. I mean, do we really, even finding a doctor, how much homework do we really do when we go in and find a doctor? Somebody tells us this guy's good. We go in. We don't ask questions of, okay, tell me about your degree. Tell me how you feel about vaccination.
Do you agree with consensual sex?
need to know these things.
I'm not letting that one go. I'm sorry.
I need to know these things. So do we ask those questions? Same way with the mechanic. Do we ask the mechanic, how many cars have you worked on? Have you worked on this particular model? A lot. If not, why not? Do you know a lot about, do we ask these questions? No. We make the assumption the person knows what they're talking about. They've gone to them. They're happy with them. We must be too.
Well, the mechanic, he's had to answer questions his whole life of going, you know what I mean? Well, what is it? What's the problem? Well, it goes like this. Hold on a second. Let me bring in the rest of the staff to hear you do that one more time. Yeah.
I'm just saying. And with business, do we ask those questions of our contractors, our consultants, our coaches? We don't. I don't think we do. I think we just take, Tim told me that this guy's really good at doing this and this, so here I am. No. But we don't do our homework either.
Yeah, no, I have a thing with my inner circle members, all right, my coaching program, is I tell people if you're going to buy something or you're going to enlist in someone's program, call and ask my opinion. Before you invest, call and ask my opinion. And I've had one or two clients who over the years, they just acted and then called me later. And I said, well, you're stuck in that contract now. You should have asked me and I would have told you how to get around that for the time being. You know what I mean? When in my case, a lot of clients come to me, they've got $100 left and they got to figure out how to wisely spend it. And they come back and go, well, I only had $100 left, but I signed this contract for $500 a month. I'm like, dude, that's why you're broke. You keep falling into the sales pitch as opposed to coming to me and getting the right plan in place.
Well, and I think that goes to the same too when it comes to businesses, especially as business owners, when you've been going through things and things aren't working for you, you want the easy button. You want somebody, and when somebody promises you the sky and the moon, the stars and everything else, you're thinking, oh, here's my easy button. I'll just sign the dotted line and they'll let me make a lot of money. But part of that though too is on our end. Are we actually doing the work too? Are we acting upon it? Or are we just sitting back and going, yeah, I did all the classes, but it didn't work for me. Well, did you do the homework? Well, no, I didn't really have time because then how do you expect it to work? So, it
comes down when you say asking the right questions and interviewing people right. Think about it. Like I just said, like what I just did this past weekend, trying to interview, lead investors. I come up with a way that helped me understand their mindset by throwing them off with a question about the game of Monopoly.
Yeah.
And how they play it. And it told me something about them by how they played. It told me their knowledge of what they're doing.
Yep.
All right. It told me that they've thought through their process in some cases. And in some cases, it told me they didn't really think through the process. They're just kind of, hey, I'm jumping in. Let's go. Yeah. All right. And that made me understand that's interviewing people in a proper way.
Well, and that's just like when our old house in California, when we were doing solar. Before we did solar, the guy came to the door and everything, and he showed us his stuff, and we said, can you leave your form here? We'd like to look at it and get some questions answered, and then come back, and then we'll talk to you. He said, no problem. So in that meantime, we went online and we looked at all the various different solar options, lease, buy, what's the difference? How does this happen? How does that? Does it really save money? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, we had our list of questions. We sat down and asked this guy and grilled him. He said, do you know, I have never gone to a house that I've had so many questions asked of me. You guys did your homework that a lot of people don't do.
Yeah, yeah.
And that, I think, is we can't blame the contractor, the consultant, the coach for them not doing their job if we haven't done our job and we haven't done our homework and asked the right questions. And I'm just as guilty as the next person going in and thinking, I thought I asked all the right questions, and then I realized I didn't. So it's a matter of really investigating and doing your homework instead of just saying, well, Tim said they were really good, so I just signed on the dotted line and thought, okay, let's do it. Yeah. But even though you thought they were really good and they worked for you, it may not be a good fit for me. So, and I think that's really important. And we're told that all the time. Even coaches that are really good coaches will tell you, you've got to ask the right questions.
Yeah, well, and I love your last point you actually had on this was talking about, I mean, if you're interviewing someone to work for you, well, yeah, I like the fact that you have a kid, so yeah, you got the job, man. And then you give them the first week on the job. Okay, I need you to have these reports done for me on Monday.
Can't
how do you do that?
Yeah, or I don't do that.
Yeah. You should have asked that question in the interview rather than going on, well, I think you're pretty good looking, all right, and we might get to have consensual sex in the back room, but
You're not gonna let that go.
I'm not letting that one go.
You're not gonna let that go.
It is called the business G-spot, ladies and gentlemen, and this just happened to be a hot G-spot on this one.
Why do you think it has the G-spot? I'm just. And yes, we went there.
For the record, all right, Katrina came up with the name, not me.
It was a combo at a mastermind. It's the mastermind's fault.
Really, you think about it, most people never thought about it, right? When our name, all right, is both of our last names start with G.
Yeah.
There's a whole different way you can take this, all right? Which is when it comes to interviewing people, there's a million ways you can take it. You have to do what's right for your business. If you don't do what's right for your business, you can't blame me and Katrina for the failure of your business.
Nope. And you have to act on it. Yeah. That's the thing. You have to act. I mean, how many times have we taken seminars and coaching programs and so on and so forth? And they say, well, did it work for you? No, not really. What did you do?
Yeah.
I didn't really do everything because it was too much. I just couldn't handle it. So
it reminds me of a joke. Can I tell it?
Go for it.
So this man passes away. All right.
Consensual sex?
Yeah. It's not about consensual sex. So this man passes away, and he was kind of a good guy during his life, but every now and then he made some mistakes. So he gets up to the gates of heaven, and St. Peter greets him and says, "You know what? You are, you know what I mean? We really should be sending you to hell, but you got so many good things that you've done. We got to give you an option to get to heaven. So you know what? We're going to give you what we call an option to choose which one you want. We're going to take you into each spot and let you review it." So they go into heaven, and everybody's friendly with them, and you know what I mean? They're buying them drinks, and they're having a good time. And he goes, "Well, this is good, man. I don't know if I want to go check out hell." And he's, "Well, we got to give you the option to go check it out." Yeah. So he gets off. He gets down to hell. And oh my God, they're throwing a hell of a party down there. They might even be having consensual sex. They're having a hell of a party down there, right? And it's like really good. And there's golf course out back, and 7-course meal, and steaks that are so fresh, and shrimp that's so big, and lobsters that are this big. And he goes, "Man, I got to tell you, this is better than heaven. I'm choosing this one." St. Peter goes, "Now you sure? Because once you make the decision, it's final."
Yep.
And he goes, yep, this is where I'm staying, right here. Sign me up. And he goes, "Okay, you got it." Poof, and everything disappears. And he looks over to this guy. He goes, "What happened to the party and everything?" He goes, "Oh, you must have seen the sales presentation."
Boom, 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 boom. Yep. And that's the thing.
That's how a lot of us end up in bad decisions in our business is we listen to the marketing and sales presentation without asking questions.
Yep. They did a good sales presentation.
Yeah.
Yep. You got to ask questions.
And it's one of the things that
especially if you're putting a lot of money on the line.
Yeah. It's one of the things that our coach, Craig Duswalt, taught to me. When I was putting it together, my blog and video con and going back to doing events. And he says, "Tim, you have to have a point where people can come back and talk to you in private, because they have questions about joining this program, and they have to individualize. You have to individualize, answer their questions, because if you don't, you're going to have a confused group of people, and they're never going to stay in your program long term." And when I did that, the first person who came behind the curtain at my event to talk to me, all right, is still to this day, 4 years later, in my mastermind and inner circle, and is a very, very good member at it, and did very well in her business because she asked the right questions of me.
Yep. And if you don't know what the right questions are, do your homework.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing your homework, then you'll come up with what those right questions will be. Just like trying to hire a team. You've got to do your homework. Got to figure out, what are they going to do? What are they going to take off your plate? What skill sets do they need to take that off your plate? What time do they need to take that off your plate?
Yeah.
And do they have those? And that's how you ask them the questions. And here's the thing that a lot of people do wrong with their business is they get the team member on. They say, "Yeah, I have that skill set. I have it on my resume." Have them do it for you. Give them an example. Show you how to do it. And that's where you're really going to find out whether they know what they're saying, whether really they can back up what they've got on their resume and what they've told you. Have them show you. Give them an example. It's the best way to find out.
All right. So I'm going to put this up to then this week here as a question that I put up for.
Yep.
So are you asking the right questions in your business? Let's be honest with you, because think about where you are in your business. Have you asked the right questions? Just put hashtag yes or no. We're not judging you. Just this is an idea this is a point in time for you to sit there and look at your life from watching our podcast today and go, you know what, Tim, Katrina, no, I have not. And maybe I need to start asking the right questions. All right. We're not judging you. We're just getting you to stop and think for a moment. All right. Because truthfully, if you asked me this question years ago, I would have had to put no. It's why up until 2018, my business was going 2018. I directed it and got it down because up until then, my answer was hashtag no.
Yeah, I agree. Mine was too. Mine was too. And that's the only way you're going to move forward is if you're asking the right questions.
That's right. That's right. So I know you have a very interesting next point here that I really did not even know this.
Yes, yes. Believe it or not, this year, The Sound of Music turns 50. It was put out in 1965. And the interesting thing, just like with a lot of movies, when it came out, there were a lot of stinking reviews, yet it won 5 Oscars. And it's one of the most popular films that's always seen over and over again during the holidays. Not quite sure why, but a lot of people watch The Sound of Music during the holidays.
Can I ask you a question on this?
Yeah.
The Sound of Music turns 50. You just said that, right?
Yep.
What year did it come out?
1965 is what they said.
What year is it now?
I got to do my math.
Katrina.
Uh-oh.
Katrina.
Older. It's older. Well, that's what this article says.
Apparently, you didn't ask the right questions.
No, I did not, did I? It's actually older. It's 57 years old.
57. I was thinking like it came out as a play. That's what I thought you were going is. I thought maybe it came out as a play and then it was turned into a movie 50 years ago, but it's 57 years ago it came out as a play. But
no,
anyway.
They were talking about the movie, so evidently they have their timelines wrong.
Apparently.
Wait a minute. And I have my math wrong. And see, there we go. Didn't ask the right question.
Again, all right. 2 people can have consensual sex.
Just not in Texas.
Maybe the law is about 3 people.
Just not in Texas.
Who knows? All right. Maybe in California, they're wondering if 1 person can have consensual sex. You're really in a sad state.
If you have the right twice, you really could.
Yeah, you're really in a sad state, all right. If only 1 person can't have consensual sex with themselves, you're really in a sad state.
Yeah,
anyway,
that's very true.
So no, this concept about you talk about this, all right. When we talk about how old something is, do you ever watch the videos? I've seen them on Facebook a lot, and they talk about these songs turn 40 years old this year.
Yeah.
And I sit and watch through it every time. Like, you know what I mean? In 2022, it went through the 40-year-old songs, which the 40-year-old songs was like 1982. But then it was to me, the 35 ones were a year I remember the 35 ones because it was like there was a really good rap song that basically came out 35 years ago. But that's when I see this stuff, like just because it comes up on Facebook doesn't mean I don't fact check. All right. Because let's face it. All right. Facebook fact checker is right up there in the rankings of, bullshit artist. All right.
True. Very true. But I mean, if you think about it, then if it's actually 57 years old, we're coming up on 60 soon.
Yeah. 60 is only just a couple of years away.
Yeah. 60 years that this has been out. I mean, it's one of those classics that everybody has heard of The Sound of Music, no matter who you've talked to. Have you seen The Sound of Music? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've seen it.
Wait a minute. Do you remember the movie with The Postman with Kevin Costner?
No, I can't say.
So it's more of like an apocalyptic type thing. There were 2 interesting things about that movie that I've always loved. Number 1 was it was a men's like training ground for like army, right? And they all lived around this quarry area. And technology wasn't there, but they were able to get technology to run a movie at night. And the movie they would put up, like they'd put up weird movies and everybody get mad and throw stuff at the movie house guy. But then they'd put the Sound of Music up and all these men were like, yes. But the second thing about that movie I remember is Tom Petty played himself in an ancient time as the mayor of a city. And the line into it was Kevin Costner comes up and he goes, I know you. You were famous. And he goes, I was at one time, but I'm not anymore.
I did not know. I haven't seen that.
And the time that it predicted was a year before Tom Petty passed away.
Oh my God!
Passed away, yeah.
Really?
It was predicted 2015.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting.
Oh,
very interesting.
I've been a fan of Kevin Costner movies, even though Waterworld bombed in their opinion. I liked it, but still, I was reading a thing the other day that said, actors and actresses that are no longer out there, and they put Kevin Costner. I'm like, Kevin Costner's on like the hottest TV show of all time right now.
Yeah, the Yellowstone.
Yeah. We're gonna have to do a whole podcast on Yellowstone. You know that.
I still got it. I only saw the first part of it, and I got to go back and watch it again. And I got to go through and watch the whole series because the first we put it on, and my sister came over and started talking, and I missed a lot of stuff. And you have to watch it closely so you don't miss anything. And when I went back to it, I had no idea what was going on.
I know. That's my wife. We start watching a movie or TV series like that that's intense, and I get wrapped up into it. And she wants to get up and like, I got to get up and go get dishes. Oh, rewind it. I'm like, rewind it.
I know.
I can't go back and watch that again.
No, I know. My husband will get up and say, just pause it. It's like,
no. And my wife said when she was getting up, hey, can we pause it for a minute? I want to go do something. Yes, big stir, but not pausing it and coming back 17 minutes later. Hey, can we rewind it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like Ted Cruz talking.
No rewind. No. Fast forward it. That's what I want. Fast forward it so we can just miss all that shit. Fast forward it. And say, thank you for your time, Ted Cruz. Next. Yay.
In case you haven't figured how close of friends Katrina and I have become, you're seeing it today.
Woohoo! Oh my gosh. Well, see, there was my fact checking that was not very fact checking in regards to Sound of Music.
So anyway, yeah, you're saying in there, Julia Andrews is she 79 years old? Wow.
No, she's got to be older than that because this article evidently misquoted.
See, that's what happens when you read news articles that are about other news articles.
But she was 29 when this came. Well, no, she wasn't because she probably was younger.
I'm going to go fact check this on you right now.
Yes, we're going to fact check this and find out. But it did come out in 1965. That was true.
Let me go to the Wikipedia page.
But the time that I had on there, it's not actually 50. It's actually 57 years old. And it's going to be 60 soon, in a couple of years.
So it did come out in 65, all right?
Yep.
It was released on March 2nd, 1965.
65.
Julia Andrews is 86 years old now.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
This article was past dated.
Okay, so here's what we've learned today, all right? As example, all right, from the beginning, when you actually read the article about the article, as opposed to going to the real law, that you can have consensus.
I got the summary of the law, not the full.
Yeah, all right. No, when you go read articles about articles, you get misled.
Yep.
If you really want to see the idiotic things, you've got to watch.
Happen here. Good lesson. You saw it happen here.
Yeah. You see that if you really want to see the idiotic things live, all right, you've got to watch the hearings with Ted Cruz and not the replay.
No,
because they're only giving you the sound clips in the replay.
Yeah. Well, I did watch some of the other things he asked, and he did move on. And you do have a point. Maybe he was trying to make a point, but I'm
playing devil's advocate.
I personally think he was trying to grandstand because he was caught looking at his Twitter feed right after. So that's just my comment, but needless
to say, all right, when we don't like a politician, we can find everything in the world wrong with them.
Yes.
That's the truth, right?
Very true.
And like I said, I'm not a fan of Nancy Pelosi, but one of my friends here in Texas taught me something good about Nancy Pelosi. These are human beings who, some of them, I do. Our discussion in the beginning is really, sometimes I think this because we live outside the beltway of Washington, D.C., is I think these people are crazy. But some of them are thinking along the lines, they've gone down a line of mindset for years that they think they're doing the right thing. There's nobody up there that's going, Ted Cruz, as much as you don't like him, right? And we in Texas couldn't find anything better. He did not wake up this morning and go, hey, how can I fuck the world up today?
Yeah,
no, he really thinks he's trying to do what's right. It's just, you have to decide whether he's doing what's right in your opinion. All right.
That's very true.
You know, as much as I don't like, Joe Biden or Donald Trump, I really didn't like either one of them. All right. They did not get up in the morning. Joe Biden did not get up this morning and go, hey, man, how can I screw up Tim and Katrina's day?
No,
He doesn't. He thinks he is doing the best job based on his knowledge. And I won't criticize him. And like, I was at this conference I was at this weekend. One person asked the question, because it's about finances, and they're talking about bad things going on in finances. And one person stand up is, until we get rid of this idiot in 2 years, Joe Biden, and the leader of it, who's not a fan of Joe Biden, the leader of the group, said, I will not call him an idiot. I'm sorry. He is still my president. I am not going to call him an idiot. He has a different opinion on things than me.
Yeah.
All right.
That's very true.
And that's what we don't realize is, like, Ted Cruz, we may not like him, but he has a different opinion on things. And that's what I was trying to get at, where I went with it. All right. Yeah, I get it. You don't like him, but he does. He has a different opinion. And he woke up this morning. He really is still waking up every day, even though you don't like him, still trying to think of how can I make America better, in my opinion, for Katrina. He is. Whether we believe that or not, whether whoever you like or dislike inside that beltway, they are getting up every day, and they really are thinking of you, the American people, and what they think is best for you.
I think too that the hardest part is that they're long term. They've been there for a long time.
They've been there too long, in my opinion. Yes,
and they start to get that tunnel vision. So they see down that tunnel, thinking this is the way to do it. Mm-hmm. And times have changed, but they haven't changed their mindset. So, and I think that's the biggest thing, even with business too. If you've been in business for a long time, sometimes you're going down that road. I mean, I talk to people all the time where they say, I don't need a website. I'll just do it through social media.
Yeah. And, you and I have got more than 15 years of experience to tell them they're wrong.
Yeah. How's that working?
Yeah.
So, and that's just, and we kind of have to break those tunnels and think outside the box. And maybe that's kind of what we should be having in Congress, is entrepreneurs who are used to thinking outside the box instead of lawyers and
we got one. We had one in the White House and people didn't like him. So
yeah, well, that's true. That's very true.
He was the most anti-politician that has ever been there. That is
very true.
And we all asked for it, and as soon as we got it, we all hated it.
Some of us didn't, but I'm just saying, yes, that is very true.
Some didn't, but a lot didn't like him. So anyway, apparently 81 million people didn't like him.
Yeah, very true. That is true. And I know we're coming up at the top of the hour, so I wanted to share a resource that
you got a good one this week.
Is one of my favorite resources out there. People are always talking about social media. People are always complaining how they don't have time for it. This is a really great resource to help you save time, money, and effort. It's Social Pilot. It's not that expensive. Plus, it ties in with Canva. And for those of who don't know what Canva is, it's a great way to build flyers, posts, all kinds of stuff in regards to creative pictures. And a lot of times they have templates that all you have to do is just fill in the blanks. So they're trying to make it as easy as possible for you. So guess what? Now we have no excuses not to get our information out there. And this is one of those. And you can post everything out for a year if you wanted to. And it's done.
And what is the price points that they have? And do they have a free level, trial level?
Yeah, they have, I think, a free 14-day trial, but it's like $30 a month. It's not that expensive, considering all the other ones that are out there and what they're charging. And it goes across Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I think YouTube. I think it can go on through YouTube. It's got all kinds of Twitter. Goes across on Twitter. I'm not sure if it goes across on Pinterest, but I think they're working on that as well. so that if you set it up, it go across all of your social channels. And on top of that, it shows you a calendar on how you set them up. So you can change a lot of those and move them from one day to the next. Even though you've got them all across your channels, you can change maybe your LinkedIn going over here on this day and your Facebook maybe over here on this day. So they all go in different times. But it's a really great resource. It's not that expensive. It's easy to set up. It's easy to do. And you can do one-on posts here and there too. It's a great way to set it up.
Is social, are they an American company or?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not positive that they are or not.
Okay.
But it's Social Pilot, and I use it, and I think it's one of the best.
Okay.
Personally.
Interesting.
It's
all right,
easy.
So yeah, we'll put the links up for it in the Facebook group and everything for you guys to get hold of it. So.
But it's really easy to use. It's very intuitive. It's not one of those where it's like, how do I do this? And how do I figure? All you have to do is sign up your accounts, get them all attached. Now, keep in mind with LinkedIn, they always change their security to keep it secure. So you'll have to really link that after, I think, 90 days each time.
Yeah. Which one of these days we'll try to get our show on LinkedIn, but like they don't want my video yet. They don't like me.
No, well, that's just rude. That's just rude.
To LinkedIn, I'm Ted Cruz.
No, it's because we talked about consensual sex.
So our advice for the week is go have consensual sex.
Yeah, just not in Texas.
Not in Texas.
Because you'll be arrested.
Honey, can I not have consensual sex tonight? Because if it's consensual, honey,
we can't do it.
We can't do it.
Yeah. And in the meantime, I will do my homework and look up the whole law, and we'll put it out there so you
She's
guys
going to come back and say it's consensual sex with yourself.
Yeah. Well,
our Texas residents can't have consensual sex in New Mexico or something like that. There's like a tagline that we forgot, right? Yeah. Wait a minute, no. It's you can't have consensual sex with Ted Cruz. We don't need any more of him.
No, thank you. No, that won't happen ever.
But if it was, wait a minute. But if it's you can't have consensual sex with George Clooney, all of a sudden you're coming to Texas to fight it. I'll bet.
I don't know.
Anyway, hey, guys, it's been a fun show this week. All right.
Yeah.
We had a great subject. We'll be back next week with another great subjects. All right. As you can tell, all right, this is business topics that we have opinions on it and we like to make fun of.
Yep. And they tie into daily things that are going on in your life.
Yep, they do. So.
You didn't think about asking.
Anyway, my name's Tim Gillette, Simple Easy Marketing. Go to simpleeasyevents.com. Find out more about what I do and how I help people. And my co-host is the wonderful and great
Katrina Garcia with KG Website Designs. And you go to www.kgwebsitedesigns to find out how to get a website that works for you. Blah, 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 blah. I love it. It's like
I love that I can play things, but we're still working on this one.
It's almost done. I swear. And our
the problem is we're in 2 different states, and every time we try to sit down to have a meeting, it is when we see each other. We haven't seen each other in so long. We're busy seeing everybody else. So yeah.
Yes. So it will be done.
It will be.
It will be done.
Anyway, guys, make sure you subscribe to both our YouTube channel, our Facebook group, as well as where you get your podcast. We'll see you guys next week.
Ta-ta.